dismissing him, that he was just giving him a flippant answer in order to kind of just dismiss him. And Gavus, we go ahead and we did according to the Greeks. Then what happens? Nafak v'dak v'ashkach. So sure enough, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov went out, did a little bit of research on his own, and what happens? He found the following: Nisanyo bagola in monin el malchi yivanim bilvad. That outside of Eretz Yisrael, in the diaspora, we only go ahead and date our documents in accordance with the Greek Empire. Fine. So we'll say, Amar Avina Masnisan Namideka. The truth is, our Mishnah could even make this point. Why? Why did the Mishnah say Disnan? So we'll say on the first of Nisan, Rosh Hashanah is the new year for kings and for Yamim Tovim. And we said, what does it mean that it's Rosh Hashanah for kings? What's the ramification of having a Rosh Hashanah for kings? Amar Rav Chisda l'shtaros. Rav Chisda said what it means is for shtaros, for the dating of documents. So we go ahead and we start them from the first of Nisan. Utnan be'echad b'tishrei Rosh Hashanah l'shanim u'l'shmitin. But yet, the Mishnah then went on and said that on the first of Tishrei is the new year for years and for Shemitah cycles. And we said ultimately again for years. What does that mean? That we date our shtaros. So we'll say obviously we have a question. We have a contradiction. Kashya shtaros adadi. So we'll say which one is it? The first part of the Mishnah seems to indicate that we date shtaros based on the reign of kings. The reign of kings begins in the month of Nisan. The way we track it Judaically is the month of Nisan, and yet then we just got finished saying that what? That we date our shtaros based on Tishrei. So which one is it? Do we date our shtaros based on Tishrei or based on Nisan? And we answer, Kan lemalchei Yisrael, Kan lemalchei ovdei kochavim. And I will say we answer that it depends, right? Ultimately, again, one is talking about from Malchei Yisrael, and one is talking about from Malchei Akum. That I will say ultimately, we have different dating systems, both for Malchei Yisrael and for Malchei Yaakov. LeMalchei Ovdei Kochavim miTishrei. For Gentile kings, we begin counting their reign from Tishrei. MiTishrei Maninon LeMalchei Yisrael MiNisan Maninon. For Jewish kings, we start counting from Nisan. Va'anan Hashta MiTishrei Maninon. And I will say ultimately again, therefore now that we go ahead and we count where we date our shtaros based on the rise of the Greek Empire. So we go ahead and we count it as of Tishrei. It's almost like going full circle. And if you want to say that ultimately again, we date our documents based on Yitzias Mitzrayim. So ultimately says the Gemara, Menisan ba'ina lemimne. Ultimately again, we should date it from Nisan because Nisan is the anniversary of Yitzias Mitzrayim. So rather, what do you see? You see that indeed, halacha l'maisa, we date our shtaros based on the monarchy of Greece, or the rise of the empire of Greece, shmamina. So we'll say that puts that discussion to bed. V'yom ginus yishal malchim. So we'll say now we go back to the Mishnah. So remember again, our Mishnah listed some of the additional yomim tovim, idolatrous yomim tovim. So one of the things mentioned was the yom ginusya of Avdei Kochalim. So the Gemara says, "My yom ginus yishal malchim." What does that mean? What is a Yom Ginusya? Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda says as follows. Rabbi Yehuda. Yom Shema Amidin Ba'ovdei Kochavim Es Malkam. Rabbi Yehuda says it's the day in which the Gentile nations coronate their king. Amid means they establish the king. So it's the day in which the king is appointed to the throne. We'll call it the coronation day. So the Gemara says, really? V'hatanya Yom Ginusya v'Yom Shema Amidin Bo'as Malkam. Here's the problem. The Brisa, when listing the idolatrous Yomim Tovim, says Yom Ginusya and the day they coronate the king, which Rabbi say seems to indicate what? That Yom Ginusya is something different, right? Yom Shema Amidin Bo'as Malkam is the day they coronate the king. Yom Ginusya means something different. To which the Gemara says, Lo Kasha, it's not a contradiction. Hadidei Hadibrei. We'll say, really, it's two different coronation days. Yom Ginusya refers to the day of the coronation of the king himself. Yom Shema Amidin Ba'as Malkam refers to the fact that sometimes kings would appoint their sons to be the next monarch, even during the already living king's lifetime. So we'll say Yom Ginusya refers to the coronation day of the king himself. Yom Shema Amidin Ba'as Malkam refers to when the living king appoints his son to go ahead and reign in his stead. That day was also a Yom Tov. So Gemara says, one second, it's actually quite interesting. Umi mukmi malka bar malka. So we'll say we're assuming over here that we're talking about that we're talking about the Romans, Rome. So in Rome, we'll say, did they go ahead and automatically, meaning was there a hereditary monarchy? Was there a dynastic monarchy? We'll say, so not necessarily. The Gemara says, look at Rashi, second wide line of Rashi says, Umi Mukmi, Romi and Malka bar Malka. So the Gemara says, in Rome they didn't do that. Rather, what happens? So Rome, so we'll see later on in the Gemara, in Rome, the Senate would decide who was the next king. So the Maisa again, the Maisa makes it sound like a king has the power to appoint his own son, but that wasn't necessarily the case. So we'll say the Gemara is over here quoting the pasuk from Avodah. And the Gemara understands this pasuk is referring ultimately to the monarchy of Rome. So I've made you the smallest amongst the nations. And we'll say that's not true. Rome was the most powerful. So what does it mean that he was made small? Shin Moshivin Melech ben Melech. What it means is you're small in that in other nations, so it's understood that the son of the king becomes the king after his father's demise, assuming that he's fit. We'll say that's true even in Jewish monarchy. Yet by Rome that was not the case. Bazoi atamaod is actually very interesting. You are degraded amongst the nations. She'elam lo ksav velo lashon. We'll say Rome did not have their own writing, nor did they did not have their own alphabet, nor did they have their own language. Rashi says over here, if you're looking at, it's a 4 lines up from the bottom of Rashi, Ksav lashon sharomim mi'uma acheres ba'alahen acherim tiknulan kol sifrein. So I'll say ultimately again, so Rashi says their language and their alphabet ultimately again was borrowed from previous cultures. Tosas has a different discussion about this over here, but again we'll save it for a different time. So it says the Gemara. What does this mean? Ela ma yom ginusya. So we'll say, so now here's the problem. So yom ginusya can't necessarily refer to the idea. So we just wanted to say yom ginusya means the coronation of the king himself. And when the Brisa says yom shema amitin ba'melech, that refers to a king who appoints his son to be the next monarch. The problem is, says the Gemara, Rome wasn't that type of monarchy. So the Brisa must mean something else. Ela ma yom ginusya. So what does yom ginusya mean? Yom haleida, the birthday of the king. The birthday of the king, that was the Yom Tov as well. But the Brisa speaks about the Yom Ginusya and Yom Haleida separately, indicating to us that Yom Ginusya is not the birthday of the king. Lo kash is not a contradiction. Hadidei hadibrei. They will say ultimately again, Yom Ginusya is the birthday of the king. Yom Haleida is the birthday of his son. Then ultimately again, the birthday of his son, the birthday of the crown prince, would also be a Yom Tov that they would celebrate. V'atanya Yom Ginusya Shalo, Yom Ginusya Shal B'no, V'yom Haleida Shalo, V'yom Haleida Shal B'no. You have another Brisa speaking also about the Yomim Tovim, and it talks about his Yom Ginusya, his son's Yom Ginusya, his birthday, his son's birthday, telling us that Yom Ginusya is not the birthday of the child. It's not the birthday. Ela ma Yom Ginusya, Yom Shema Amidin Bo Malkam. In other words, we go back. Rather, what is Yom Ginusya? Yom Ginusya is in fact the coronation day. So we'll say, what about the fact that Rome wasn't necessarily a hereditary monarchy? And indeed, I will say what it means is Yom Ginusya is the day of the coronation of the king himself. Yom Shema Amidin Bo Malkam is the day in which the king yielded the throne to his son. But we just said before that in Rome, it wasn't necessarily a given that the son would inherit the throne of the father. I will say, so essentially, if the sitting king asked nicely, so the Senate would allow his son to rule. In other words, I will say, what it seems to say is that even in ancient Rome, if the sitting king made a formal request, assuming that his son was fit, often the Senate would honor that request. Kigon, the Gemara tells us, the Gemara gives an example. Kigon, Asvirus bar Antoninus. The Malach, so we'll say ultimately again, if the example of this was Antoninus, so we'll say who we're going to go ahead and discuss extensively. So Antoninus, so we'll say was the Caesar. Antoninus asked the Senate that his son Asvirus should be the next Caesar, and they honored that request. So we'll say, so listen to this, the Gemara tells us the backstory. Amar le Antoninus le Rabbi. I will say the Gemara is going to discuss a dramatic relationship between Antoninus, who was the Caesar, and Rabbi Yehuda Hanossi. So the Gemara says, Antoninus Rabbi. Antoninus asked Rabbi the following kasha. But the Yimloch Asviras Bri Tachosi Vitis Abit Teveria Kalanga. So Antoninus also said to Rabbi the following: I need two things from the Senate. I want them, number one, to appoint my son Asvirus as the king, as the next Caesar, but I also want to declare Tiberia a tax-exempt city. Why should Tiberia be a tax-exempt city? So let's say if you look at Rashi, Rashi says, Kalanya, Baschor shlo titin masli olam, mishum de ispei rabbanon, va'antoninos atzmahayim mishamish b'fnei Rebbe. So we'll listen to this. Tiberia was the home to the Talmidei Chachamim, to the Rabbanim. As we're going to see, Antoninos has a very close relationship with Rebbe and had great respect for Talmidei Chachamim. Great respect for Talmidei Chachamim. He wanted to make an official declaration that the residents of Tiberia are forever tax exempt. So what's the problem? What's the problem? So the Gemara says, "V'I'ema luhu chada avdi, trei lo avdi." So here's what's interesting. Even the Caesar, right? Even the Caesar has to say, you know what? I could ask the Senate for one thing, and they'll give it to me. Two things they probably won't give to me. So what should I do? So the Gemara says, so Rabbi Yehuda Nasi gives him a remez, hints to the answer. I see Gavra Arka ve'achavre. So what happened? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi calls over two guys, and he says for one guy to put the second guy on his shoulders. So right, one person is on the shoulders of a second person. He handed a dove to the guy sitting on top of the other guy's shoulders. And then he said to the lower guy, say to the upper guy, lemifrach min yada Yona, to let go of the dove. Okay, so we'll say, so Antoninos is watching all of this, and he says, Shma mina hachi kama. Rabbi Yehuda, I understand what you're telling me. At bay minau dasiras b'riyim loch tachosi. I should ask the Senate to allow my son Asvirus to rule. The emale la Asvirus diti avet Tiberia kalanya, and I should tell ultimately Asvirus to make Tiberia a tax-exempt city. So he answered, Rabbi Yehuda is being merames him. In other words, you're the man on the bottom. Rabbi Antoninus is the man on the bottom. Put Asvirus on your shoulders, meaning ask for the Senate to anoint him as king, and then I'll tell Asvirus to release the dove. The dove being a reference to the Talmidei Chachamim. Ultimately, tell Asvirus to go ahead and make Tiberia tax-exempt. So we'll discuss. Why don't you just say? There's a lot of effort going into this message over here. Right? So we'll see why Rabbi Yehuda had to do this. So listen to this. We'll say this is amazing. So Antoninos says to Rabbi Yehuda, the noblemen of Rome are giving me an incredibly difficult time. They're giving me a difficult time. So what should I do? So Ma'ayele Legina. So Rabbi Yehuda took Antoninos into the garden. Kol yoma akar le pugla mishra. Each day he took him into the garden. He plucked one radish from the ground. Amar, shmami nahachi ka'amarli. I get the message. At kitol chad minayhu velo tiskaru buhu bekulu. So I understand the message. What's the message of Osai? Just pluck them out one at a time. But don't try to go ahead and contend with all of them at once, because at the end of the day, again, you'll lose. But if you neutralize the threat one at a time, ultimately, again, you'll be successful. I'll say Amadeus. So it says the Gemara asks, I don't say Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, why don't you just say it? Meaning, this is the second time. Also, these conversations are very time consuming, right? Because at the end of the day, we've got props, we've got people, we've got radishes, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Why don't you just, Antoninus is coming to you for advice, just give him the advice. Also, it's very profound. Amar, Shmi bi chashuvi romi, at least said in both of them, but really primarily in the second one, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, especially in the second case, was giving Antoninos advice to kill his adversaries in Rome. That is not a good thing to articulate. That is not a good thing to say. And therefore, again, he doesn't say anything. Instead, he's merames. He's merames. V'lei malei b'lacha. Shabbos say very, very profound Gemara. Sinu, just whisper it. If you're afraid about people hearing it, just whisper it. Mishum dichsiv, because Rabbi Yehuda had been around the block a couple of times, and he understood Mishum dichsiv, ki of hashamayim yolich hasakol. Because the bird of the heavens has the ability to go ahead and carry the voice. Which is another way of saying, it's really hard to trust people's discretion, and it's really hard to trust people's confidence. So if you don't want something to be heard, there's only one way to ensure that, and that's what? Don't say it. Don't say it. I'm sorry? That's right. That's right. Don't say it. So that's the message. So listen to this. Now the Gemara will say this is a very. It's so good that we're learning this together, because the truth is, there's some pieces of Torah that are just so good. You can't learn it by yourself. You have to learn it with a group, because that way you get to enjoy it together. We'll say this is incredible. So we'll say this whole Gemara now is about the relationship between Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and Antoninos. Barta, Dishma Gira. So we'll say Antoninos had a daughter whose name was Gira. Ka'av de Isura. So we'll say she committed an Isra. Now Rashi seems to point out over here, Zansa. She engaged in immorality. So what happens? So we'll say Shadrale Gargira. So Antoninos did not know what to do with her. So what does he do? He sent Gargira, we'll say, is a plant. He sends a Gargira plant to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. And I will say this was a play on words. Gargira means, Rabbi say, is a contraction for Garar Gira, which means Gira, my daughter, that was his daughter's name. Gira was Garar, was pulled into a web of immorality. And he was asking Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, what should I do with her? Shadrale Kusbarta. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi sends him back a plant, Rabbi say. And the name of the plant is a Kusbarta. Now this is amazing. So there's a machlokes, Rashi and Tosas, what this means. Rashi says Kusbarta means Kos Barta. Kos means shachat. You have to execute her. If your daughter ultimately again is engaged in a web of immorality, then you need to cut her off. Literally, you need to execute her. So if you look at Rashi says over here, Shadrale Rebbe Kusbarta Balaz, Kilomar Shachot Habat Kos Barta Shesem Milos. Killer. Tosa says, what? Tosa says, really? Like, do you think Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is going to tell Antoninos to go ahead and what? To go ahead and execute his daughter? He says just the opposite. He says, Kus Barta means cover it up. Cover it up. Kus, like cover for your daughter. Find a way to make it go away. You are the Caesar. You can make things go away. You can make people go away. You can make a lot of things go away. Cover it up. Cover it up. Says the Gemara, Shadrale. So we'll say, listen to this. Now, the reason why Rashi thinks this, why does Rashi have a Havamina that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi will be telling Antoninos to execute his daughter? Because watch this. So we'll say clearly, that's how Antoninos understood the message. Antoninos thought that the plant Kusparta was a message. You should execute your daughter. So therefore, what does he send in response? We'll say Shadrale Karsi. So we'll say, listen to this. So he sent back. We'll say Karsi. Now we know out of all these, Karsi is a leak. We'll say, what does Karsi mean? Antoninos said to Yehuda Nasi, if I go ahead and I execute my daughter, she's my only child. She's my only child. If I execute her, I am cut off. In other words, that's the end of my line. Shalach le chasa. I will say, what does he do? He sends back a head of lettuce. Chasa. I will say, chasa means what? Chasa, chus v'rachim. Have compassion on her. So as I said, at the end of the day, whatever Antoninos did, he covers it up or he sends her away, whatever happens, but he doesn't execute her. Incredible. I'm sorry?
I'm shocked. They cared about
high-profile immorality, I guess. Also, who knows what kind of immorality? Who knows with who she committed immorality? Correct. Clearly, Rome is not known as the most moral of empires, but obviously this was something. First of all, it could also be Antoninos himself. Antoninos himself was an exceptionally pious individual, at least according to the Gemara. He's learning Torah, so it could be that he held himself and a family to a higher degree of morality and was wondering what to do about this. So the Gemara goes back there. So Kol Yoma Havashadale Dava Pricha. Let's listen to this. B'matrasa v'chiti apomaya. We'll say every single day. Get ready for this. Every single day, Antoninos sent Rabbi Yehuda Nasi a sack filled with gold dust. A sack filled with gold dust. And what did he do? But I will say, Antoninos had to keep his relationship with Rebbe exceptionally quiet. So he's sending him a sack filled with gold dust every single day. He put wheat on the top of the sack. So that if somebody would open it up, all they would see is wheat. Amar lahu, amtayu chit the Rebbe. So he would tell his servants, bring this sack of wheat to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Amar li Rebbe, lo tzrichna islei tuva. Because Rabbi Yehuda Nasi said, I don't need it. I'm okay. I have enough, right? Or I have a lot. I will say, you understand the profundity of being able to say those words, right? So, islei tuva. You could always have more. Of course, you could always have what I will say. But what an accomplishment in life to be able to say islei tuva, like Yaakov Avinu said, Yeshli kol. I have enough. I have everything I need. Amar le. So also listen to this. Antonina says, Amar lehavi leman de basrach. Listen, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, do me a favor. Keep the gold. Because even if you can't use it, Those who come after you will use it. Why? Because you know what? Your descendants will need it to pay off my descendants. Antonina says to Rabbi, it's wonderful that we have a nice relationship. But at the end of the day, we both know that the destiny of Rome, right? That destiny of Rome and the Jewish people is to be antagonistic towards one another. So even if you don't need the money now, keep it, because those who come after you will need it to pay off those who come after me. These stories are wild. Now, just so you understand, where is everybody living? So both Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi and Antoninos are both living in Tiberia. Now, of course, Antoninus, of course, is the Caesar. See, he rules over Rome. He has a whole house in Rome, but he also has a house in Tiberia. Mm-hmm. So we'll say, so what happens also? So remember, again, they both live in Tiberia. They have a tunnel. They have a tunnel in between their homes. So this is incredible. People think it's hard to get up in the morning. It's not hard to get up in the morning. Not when you come to Gemara like this. Incredible. So says the Gemara, so what happens? So kol yoma habimaisi tre avdir. And here was the problem. Antoninus, as the Caesar, never travels alone. He always travels with an entourage. What's the issue? The issue is he needs to keep his relationship with Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi quiet. So what happens? Every single day when he traveled the tunnel, he took 2 servants with him. Chad katle abava to Bei Rebbe. One he would kill at the entranceway to Rebbe's house. V'chad katle abava to Bei Sei. And one he would kill at the entranceway to his house. So in other words, we're both saying, no one could know about this. So therefore, again, every single day, 2 guys are disobeying. I guess that's one of the advantages of being the Caesar. People don't really ask too many questions about what you do. Right? So the say every single day he's killing off 2 of his servants. So Moshe, listen to this. So Antoninus has one demand. What's the one demand? My one demand is, no, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, no one could ever be in your home when I come to you. In other words, I need to be assured of absolute confidence about an absolute, anonymity in our relationship, and therefore no one could ever be in your home when we get there. What happens? One day, when Antoninus walked into the home of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he finds that Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama is there. So Antoninus gets upset. He says, "You're putting me in danger. Did I not tell you that when I come to your home?" And I will say, by the way, you notice, it's Antoninus who comes to Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Amazing. The Caesar of Rome comes to Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi every single day to learn with him and to serve him, as we'll see in just a bit. So I don't understand. I asked you that when I come to your home, there shouldn't be anyone in your home. Amalei. To which Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says, I will say, "Les din bar inish." This individual here is not a mortal. So the Gemara says, rather he's a malach. So if he's a malach, so do me a favor, if he's a malach, so this Antoninus says this to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, to tell Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama. Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama is really a malach. Do me a favor, I left one of my servants by the entranceway of your home in the tunnel. He's taking a little nap. Right? Can you tell him, wake him up, and come and tell him to join us? So we'll say, so what happens? So he's not just taking a nap, he's taking the nap. Right? So we'll say, ultimately, again, he's dead. So obviously, Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama finds this servant, and he's dead by the doorway. So Amar Hechi Avid. So the servant's like, I'm not sure what to do over here. So listen to this. If I come back and say, I'm sorry to tell you that the servant is dead, in mashivin ala kalkola, we'll say we have a concept. We have a concept of in mashivin ala kalkola. So what that means that one should not be the bearer of bad news. One should not be, right? We'll say at the end of the day, one should not be the bearer of bad news. We'll say it's an incredible yisod, because there are some people who love to be the. It's always that guy. Did you hear? Did you hear? Did I hear what? Oh no, you don't want to hear. Did you hear? I was like, don't be the bearer of bad news. First of all, everybody hears at some point in time. You don't have to be the one who says it. But to be the person who goes in and brings negative information that ultimately brings down others is a terrible, terrible thing. So Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama says, so then what should I do? To come back and say, the guy's dead, I'm not going to do that. Ashav keve ezel, should I run away? That's a lack of cover to the Caesar. So what happens? We'll say, Amazingly enough, Rabbi Chanina bar Chama davened, and the servant came back to life. V'shadrei, and he sent the servant into the house of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi for Antoninus to see him. So let's say, listen to this. Antoninus says, what does Antoninus say? Amar, Yadana zuti di isbechu mechayim esim. I know the power of the Jews. And even the lowliest of Jews has the power of Tchias HaMesim. I said, do you hear like the cover that Antoninus has for Klal Yisrael? I know you Jews. You're powerful people. You're holy people. Even the smallest amongst you has the ability to be Mechayim Esim. What he says is, Rabbi Chanina bar Chama, you're a great guy. I know you're not a malach. I know you're not a malach. However, great. Please make sure no one is here when I come to visit the next time. Antoninus is not wowed by the miracle because he recognizes the power of the Jew, but please do not have anyone here the next time. We'll say, listen to this. Kol Yoma, so we'll say, now the Gemara continues the narrative. Kol Yoma hava meshamish l'Rebbe. We'll say, every single day Antoninus came to visit Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and literally he served him. What did he do for him? Machile, he would prepare his food. Mashkile, he would prepare his drink. Kavaboy Rebbe lemesik lepurya hava gachin kamepur. We'll say, listen to this. When Rebbe wanted to get into bed, Antoninus would crouch down so that Rebbe could climb on his back to get into bed. Amarle sak iluye lepuryach. Climb upon me to get into your bed. Amarle lav orach ar lezazuli b'malchusa kulehai. And Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi refused. He refused. He said, I'm not going, you are the melech, you are the king. And even though you're a Gentile king, at the end of the day, I have to give cover to the monarchy, and I will not be mezalzel. I will not go ahead and degrade the honor of the monarchy to such a degree. Amar, mi yisimene masa tachtech ali olam haba. So we'll say, so what does Antoninus say? Rebbe, I would be happy to be your doormat in the world to come. If only I could be the mat under you in the world to come, I would be so happy. We'll say, listen to this. Amar lei, asina la alma da asi. So we'll say, it's overwhelming. Antoninus says to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rebbe, am I going to go to Olam Haba? Amar lei, in. He said, yes, you will go to Olam Haba. Amar lei, vaksiv lo yi yesarid lebeis Esav. But yet, Rebbe, it says, I will say, this is amazing. This is amazing. Antoninus is quoting from Avodah. Most of us never even heard of Avodah, right? And Antoninus. Yeah, I once knew a guy of Avodah, right? So Antoninus will say this is the tzidkus of Antoninus, right? Antoninus ultimately is coming from Avodah. He says, Rebbe, how can you tell me that I'm going to Olam Haba? I know the pasuk in Avodah, and the pasuk says that there will not be a remnant left over for the house of Esav. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to totally destroy Esav. I'm from Esav. I'm Rome. I am Esav. I am Esav. To which Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says, Ba'oseh ma'aseh Esav. The only time HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroys Esav is if Esav continues to be Esav, if Esav continues to persecute, if Esav continues to murder, if Esav does all of these terrible things. Bryce that supports this. Lo yiyeh sar lebeis Esav. There will not be a remnant of beis Esav. Yachol lakol. You might think that Esav is destroyed in totality. Talmud lomar lebeis Esav ba'oseh ma'aseh Esav. If Esav continues to act like Esav, that's when he's going to be destroyed. But if Esav does tshuva, like you have done, Antoninus, then ultimately again you will live. Amrlei vaksiv. But he quotes over here from the pasuk, Shama Edom malacha b'chol nisya, that Edom will be totally destroyed, its kings and its princes. Amrlei malacheha v'lo kol malcheha, kol nisyeha v'lo kol sareha. Some of the kings, but not all of the kings. As Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is assuring. Antoninus, you are righteous, you are good, and I promise you will have a portion of the world to come. Bryce that supports this. So we'll say, who does this come to include? The kings will be destroyed, but not all of the kings. Prat la Antoninus ben Asvirus. And we'll say this comes to exclude Antoninus ben Asvirus. So we'll say, Antoninus, although he was a king of Edom, at the end of the day, because ultimately he does tshuva, he becomes a righteous individual in of himself, he has a portion of Olam Haba. Kol nisyeha v'lo kol sareha, all of the princes, but not all of the officers. Who does that come to exclude? Prat l'Ketia bar Shalom. We'll say this comes to exclude Ketia bar Shalom. We'll say, who is Ketia bar Shalom? So we'll say, Ketia bar Shalom is another Gentile. How he gets the name bar Shalom we'll discuss. So Ketia bar Shalom, my hobby, we'll say who is Ketia bar Shalom and what is his story? We'll say another dramatic story. Da'ahu Kisara, Da'hava son of Yehuda. There was another Caesar, I will say who was unnamed, another Caesar who hated the Jews. Amr Lahu lechashibi demachusa. So we'll say, listen to this. He gathers his advisors, and he asks them what we should do about the Jews. Mi sha'alo ne'ema beraglo. We'll say if somebody has a wound. If somebody has a wound in his foot, right? Basar mace, Rashi says, dead skin with sorrow, dead skin that plagues him. So what should he do? Yikta'ena v'yichya, should he cut off the dead skin and live? Or yanichena v'yitzta'er, or should he leave the dead skin and ultimately suffer? So the advisor said, Amar lo, yikta'ena v'yichya, ultimately cut off the dead skin and live. So we'll say, understood, the dead skin that he was referring to was what? Was the Jews. So he's asking, what should we do about the Jewish problem? So the advisors all said, cut off the dead skin, cut off Klal Yisrael, and the empire will thrive. So Ketiyah Bar Shalom is there. Amalu Ketiyah Bar Shalom. So my dear Caesar, here's the problem. Chado telo yachlis l'lekula. First of all, you can never go ahead and kill off all the Jews. That's number one. No one could ever kill out the entire Jewish nation. Literally, like the four winds I have scattered you. My kamar, ilema, ruchos. So we'll say, if you want to say that what it means, Chosh Baruch Hu scattered us in four different directions, then hi, ki'arba ruchos, le'arba ruchos mibayle. If that's the case, I will say, then it shouldn't say ki'arba ruchos, like four directions. Rather, it should say, in four directions I have scattered you. So what's the meaning of the pasuk? Ella, kishim shi'er shali olam below ruchos. I will say, just as the world cannot exist without the winds, kach i'efshar the olam below Yisrael. So too what? The world cannot exist without Klal Yisrael. I will say that's the meaning of the pasuk. Ki ka'arba ruchos Hashem berashti eschem. I have scattered you like the four winds. I've scattered you, but you are like the winds. Just like the world cannot exist without the winds, so too the world cannot exist without Klal Yisrael. So Ketiyah Bar Shalom says to the Caesar, you can't wipe out the Jews. Even if you tried, and though there are those before you have tried, you can't wipe out the Jews. That's problem number one. Vod, karu lecha malchusa Ketiyah. And furthermore, they'll call you literally a handicapped or truncated monarch. In other words, when you wipe out part of your own populace, the Jews are under your dominion. The Jews are under your rulership. If you wipe them out, you will compromise your own monarchy, your own kingdom, your own empire. So we'll say, listen to this, this is amazing. Amrlei, Meimer Shapir Ka'amrit. The Caesar says, Ketiyah Bar Shalom, you're saying good. Saying good, I'm a Kabul. Here's the problem. Miu called the Zachi Malka, Shodulei Lekaminya Chalila. Here's the problem. Anyone who bests the Caesar is buried alive. So, excellent point. Excellent point. The problem is, I always have to be right. So, if you're right, that means I'm not right. And anyone who goes ahead and what Rabbi say, anyone who goes ahead and shows up the Caesar is buried alive. Rabbi say, by the way, I just want to point out to you, herein lies the distinction between Am Yisrael and the Umos Ha'olam. You see, in Am Yisrael, the Chosama Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we believe the signature of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is MS. It's all about MS. What is true? In the Umos Ha'olam, very often in the world, it's not about what's true, it's about what? Who's right. Who's right? I will say, sometimes there's a difference between what is true and who is right. The Caesar says, you're speaking the truth, Ketiyah Bar Shalom, but I, the Caesar, always have to be right. And the problem is, if you're right, then I can't be right, and there's a ramification for that. So Ketiyah Bar Shalom, at the end of the day, excellent point, but now I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bury you alive. So I'll say what happens. This is an incredible, incredible Gemara. Kathava nakitnon le vazlina. So we'll say, as they're leading Ketiyah Bar Shalom out, literally to be buried alive. To be buried alive, what happens? Amr le'ahu matronisa. There was, we'll say, matronisa literally means, Rashi says, Romis, is a Roman noblewoman. Roman noblewoman. So we'll say there was a particular Roman noblewoman who said to him, Vai le le'ilfa da'azle below michsa. Woe to the ship, ultimately again, who leaves port, right? Or literally, the Azla, who leaves port below Michsa, without paying its tax. Woe to the ship that leaves its port without paying the tax. Look at Rashi, below Michsa, Kilomar, Oilecha, Hoil Va'alein Atonerag, Shalom Maltes Atzmicha, Vetito Chelek Iman. So literally, this Roman nobleman says, Ketiyah Bar Shalom, you are being killed because you defended the Jewish people. how sad it is that you're not part of them. Because if you were part of them, the schar you would get in the afterlife would be so dramatic. So you're like the ship that's leaving port without settling up its debts. You defended them, you're dying for them, yet you're not part of them. So we'll say a very dramatic Gemara, Nafla al reishei dur lase kata. I will say literally, he pulled off his arla, the foreskin, with his teeth. So it's like whatever this means, right? But the point is, it's like he was mal himself. He circumcised himself in that moment. In the moment when he's being taken out to death, I will say he goes ahead and he gives himself a bris milah. I will say now there's an incredible machlokes harishonim over here as to what this means. So I will say most of the Rishonim understand that what it means is he converted. So it's like the problem, of course, just is we don't exactly see a Beis Din, we don't go ahead and see a Tvila and a Mikvah. Our circumcision is definitely part of Mikvah, but part of conversion, part of Gerus, but it's not the totality of it. So it could just be that the Gemara is writing the story a little bit shorthand. But it seems to be, again, meaning why else is he being mal himself? Why else at the end of the day is he giving himself a circumcision? First again, I will say, as you just saw before by Antoninus, a Gentile, a guy, does not need a circumcision, right? There is no mitzvah of milah by a Gentile. I will say that's piece number one. Piece number two is, remember, this is also very important to sod. Jews have not cornered the market on the afterlife. Gentiles have a portion in Olam Haba. Could be that Jewish afterlife is different than Gentile afterlife. That might be so. I would say righteous Gentiles absolutely go to Olam Haba, and there is absolutely no need for them to be Jews. I will say for Araya, that's why we don't convert people. I should say differently. That's why we don't proselytize. We don't proselytize because we believe that a righteous Gentile goes to Olam Haba just like a righteous Jew. As long as he does what his obligations are, he has and that's what Rabbi was saying to Antoninus. Antoninus, you're doing great. You go to Olam Haba. There is no need for you to convert. What's apparently striking about this story is that the Matronisa is saying to Ketia Bar Shalom, essentially, you're dying al Kiddush Hashem and you're not Jewish. If only you were Jewish, the schar you would get for dying al Kiddush Hashem. This apparently is so striking for Ketia Bar Shalom. That what? That Imamish converts in the moments before death. Amar Yahavis Michse Chalfis Va'avis. So ultimately, again, what happens? He says, okay, officially, I have now paid my tax. He converts, he's mal himself, he gives himself a circumcision, he pays his tax. Yahavis Michsi Chalfis Va'avis. I've paid my tax. Hopefully now I can come back into port. Kishki Kashadule, when as they were throwing him, Rabbi say, into his grave to be buried alive. Amar Kal Nechasad Rabbi Akiva Lechaverov. All of my property belongs to Rabbi Akiva and his friends. Yatsa Rabbi Akiva Darsh, Rabbi Akiva Darshan, and he said, V'hayala Aaron Ulabanov. They will say when the pasuk says, by the Kohanic tithes, it will be to Aaron and his sons, Mechzela Aaron and Mechzela Banov. Just like that means a 50-50 split. Yeah, and Rabbi say, so Rabbi Akiva says that at the end of the day, I understand that even though Ketir Bar Shalom says all the property is for me, it's for me to split with the other Rabbanim. Yotzes Baskal va'amar Ketir Bar Shalom mezuman l'chai olam haba. Rabbi Baskal came out and said, Ketir Bar Shalom is mezuman, is invited, ultimately again to an eternity in olam haba. Bacha Rebbe va'amar yeshkan olama b'sha achas v'yeshkan olama b'kama shanim. Rebbe cried, Rabbi say. We'll discuss why Rebbe cried tomorrow. Rebbe cried and he said there are some people who acquire their Olam Haba in a moment, and there are some people who acquire their Olam Haba over many years. For some people it takes years to get into Olam Haba. For some people, ultimately, again, it takes but a moment. That was the greatness of Ketir Bar Shalom. So why is he known as Ketir Bar Shalom? So if you go with the narrative, ultimately, that he converted, that the Milah is part of his conversion, so the Bar Shalom, his father wasn't Shalom. Right, that wasn't his father was in Shalom. He was a Roman. Right, his father was in Shalom. His brother. What does Bar Shalom mean? Bar Shalom is a descriptive name. It also says Shalom is one of the names of the Ribbon Shalom. He was Ketia, the son of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. because ultimately, again, he dies al Kiddush Hashem. He accepts Yiddishkeit again in his final moments. He engages in an incredible act dramatic act of circumcising himself. He defends the klal. He dies for the klal, and therefore, again, he's known as the son of the Ribono Shel Olam. Such is the greatness of our President. I will say, some people, and Rebbe cries, some people acquire their Olam Haba over the course of a lifetime. Some people acquire their Olam Haba in but a moment. Right, we'll stop over here. We'll pick up over here tomorrow night session.